I studied a little bit of industrial design, and what I basically learned in college was an appreciation for modern contemporary design, you know, clean, simple design. And, you know, the mantra was less is more and form follows function. So that's really what my philosophy of making my pieces is. And after when I graduated, I went into got a job in advertising, and I worked at various agencies, but I was always an art director, and later I became a creative director. And your job in that position is to, you know, come up with concepts, and then you have to see them through production. And there's a lot of nitpicking and a lot of very precise judgments to be made about typography and color of proofs and editing of film and, you know, all of this kind of thing. On a daily basis, you're just making visual decisions like that. And it's a hard habit to break. So that's why, you know, people think I'm kind of particular, but, you know, it's just part of my being at this point. So at any rate, I do hate glazing because you make a piece and you've made something exactly the way you want it, and then you go in there and you don't know what's going to happen. I mean, no matter how hard I try, you know, there's always, you know, some chance it's not going to go the way I want it. But you know, I started seriously making pottery. I've been doing it for about 20 years, but seriously about 15 years ago in Santa Fe, New Mexico, and I had my own studio there, and I hadn't really figured out how to. You know, a class that I took, but again, it's the same technique. It's just one glaze, but it's thinner at the top, just because I wet it down and absorbed less glaze. But you get the effect of two glazes, you know, without the risk of, you know, running or whatever. This is a glaze that I want to bring here. I'm going to have them make it out at Aardvark, and, you know, I got to talk to Vivian about it. But it's a matte blue-gray glaze, but depending on how thick you put it on and what clay you put it on, you can get this kind of appearance. It's almost like a cast iron look. And you know, this is a fairly big platter. It's about 16 inches, and it's got, and I just put just rutile wash over the center there to get the color change. And this is the same glaze, but on a lighter clay, on a light clay. And it, you know, you get this matte blue, and the same, you know, same thing with the, you know, eventually I, you know, started to come up with an idea of what my style would be. And, you know, one day I made some of these handles. You know, I just kind of bugged me that everybody in the world at this place was making the same handle. Same handle, you know, and I didn't want to do it. So this kind of fit my idea of, you know, a modern, clean design. So I made this piece. This is just the same matte blue-gray glaze, but here, you know, basically black and, you know, with a red interior. And this is a, you know, a picture that I made, same glaze. But, you know, I just started using this handle in various ways on everything I was making. You know, it's worked on everything. So, and then when I made this piece, that's when I felt like I really had a style. I knew what I was doing. This was what I wanted to do. And unfortunately, then, you know, well, fortunately, unfortunately, when I came here, I made more, but we didn't have that glaze.
Oh, no.
So I did it with Temaku, and I'm really quite happy with it.
Oh, yeah.
You know, and what's nice is that it, you know, it breaks on the edges, so it defines the handle, you know, and, you know, I think it's gorgeous, so.
Is that light on the, oh, that's a reflection, right?
Yeah. Oh, that's a reflection. So again, this is same Temaku. I'm sure this is B-Mix. You know, there's the handle again, and you know, these were done here. So, and this is you know, like a ginger jar. You know, same technique. Now, this is Temaku, and it's on Amador. And you get this incredible sparkly effect. And again, I wet the bottom area a little bit, and I dumped it upside down. So it was in the bottom of the pot, was in the glaze for a shorter period than the top. So the glaze is quite a bit thicker up on the top and thinner down at the bottom. But, you know, just love the way that looks. And again, still you're getting the break on the edges, and, you know, you get to appreciate the shape. And then, you know, I did a bunch of pictures, and just, you know, there's my handle. But, you know, these are just white and blue. I mean, there's nothing fancy about the glazing, but I just think that's valid. You know, I think those are beautiful pieces. They don't have to have a lot going on. You know, I'm very proud of that work.
What is the blue?
I'm sorry? And this is, you know, one of these double wall bowls that I make. This one's a little more functional than some of them. I think you could actually serve something in that. But again, I mean, it's white, but I think that's, you know, I love that. This is, you know, this is a piece that is thrown as a cylinder, then paddled, and then I use a sure form on it to really define the shape, and then I sand it to really get the edges sharp and so on. But that is, again, that's the pink rutile, but on Amador, and you know, what I know is that it's going to break on the edges. So I mean, I don't think it would be the same thing to look at if you didn't have those, you know, that break on the edges. I mean, that makes it so. But I mean, that's all. When I'm making the piece, I know that's what I'm going to do. You know, it's not. I don't walk in back in there and go, what should I do with this? You know, I mean, it's all planned days in advance.
John, do you sand?
And this is, you know, piece made the exact same way. It's just the 1, 2, 3 white. And again, I just, you know, just think of something that's all white, not bad. You know? Again, these are some little teacups, faceted teacups, same kind of thing, you know, with the pink rutile. You know, this is same basic approach in the making of the piece, but this is with the Whitaker yellow on it. And I have one just like it over here, and I'm gonna show you how I glaze it, because like I said, I hate glazing. And you know, the trick, you know, the challenge is always to make something without finger marks on it, and without you know, the about these marks on it. So I've got some, I've found some ways to do that. On some pieces, I've gotten pretty good at getting rid of the marks. And I can show you how I do it, because sometimes you can't avoid it. You just have to use those. And so I'm going to show you how I do it. I'm sure some of you probably do it the same way, but we'll talk about that a little bit.
John, can you tell us how it is that you get your glaze to go all the way to the bottom of the pot? Yep.
It's a secret, Pat. It's a secret.
That's
It doesn't go all the way to the bottom, but I cut it pretty close. I mean, it's very close to the bottom, but I've never had anything stick to my cookies. And I use the cookies.
Which glaze is that, John?
It's the Winneker Yellow. The thing about Winneker Yellow, I'll talk about it a little bit more. It's really sensitive to where it is in the kiln. So, I mean, luckily, this was probably in the middle of the kiln.
Not me.
Because if it's on the edge of the kiln, one side will be white, and the other side
Yeah.
is going to be yellow. That happens a lot.
Where is that spot?
What's it?
Where is?
On Amador, and I love seeing on the mugs and so on, seeing raw clay done. It does very helpful to be able to dip it without leaving any fingerprints. And a place to put your hand. But this is the piece, but what I did with this is I glazed it up to here, and it might have gone over a little bit, so I just cleaned it off with my sponge, and then I waxed it around here so that this was protected, and then I wet it, made it pretty wet up there, and dipped it back in the pink teal. But when it's thin, it comes out this caramel color. So again, I got two colors with the one glaze. And this is a picture I have here, and the gradation. The pink or teal, if you want it kind of solid like it is on this mug, or where it's speckly, like it is on the top of that, but you want it, you dip it for like literally 2 seconds. If you dip it longer than that, if you go to 4 seconds, you're going to get this. Anyway, what I did with this was I knew I wanted it more blue at the top and going towards caramel at the bottom. So I literally stuck it in for a beat and pulled it out. That way, this was in for less than, for about a second. This was in for 2 seconds. But I mean, that's how sensitive the glaze is.
So John, you didn't sponge the bottom.
And it was in the window. It's the same technique. It's on a dark brown clay. I glazed the whole thing very thinly with the red. So that's the transparent area. And then I poured glaze, the red glaze on it, and let it drip down. So where it's on thick, it's red, and it actually turns purple in the middle. And where it's thin, it's transparent. So, again, it's just using one glaze. Okay, so this is kind of the effect I usually go for on my mugs. So that's a 2-second dip on there. It's just 1, 2, that's it. Pull it out, and I mean, generally, they look pretty much like that. I mean, there'll be some variation, but, you know, that's pretty much it. But, and I glaze the bottoms of everything I make pretty much. I just think it looks more finished. I'm gonna do that when I demo this. But this is 4 seconds, and that's, you know, a couple of seconds makes all the difference. I mean, it's run quite a bit, and it's a totally different color.
John, are you waxing the bottom?
I'm talking about bringing to the studio the blue red and the copper red, but amazingly, when those two things meet, you know, if the red runs a little bit, it produces that blue line. You know, it's not anything when this happened, I didn't know that was gonna happen. But now I know about it.
What was the other glaze, John?
Pardon?
What's the other glaze? The copper red and what's the other one?
It's the matte blue gray glaze that I was talking about earlier. Hardware can make it for me. They want to make 50 pounds. This is a platter, and this was done by taping and waxing. It's the matte blue gray, it's the red, and I mean, if you could get up close, you could see there's just the sweetest little blue line between those two things. But you know, that's basically how I take. This is actually one of our dinner plates. I didn't have a piece of bisque, so this is tape on a dinner plate. But and you know, I sometimes produce the exact same design on the back. But what I just brought the thing. You know, what I would do is I have to write myself a note that says black here with an arrow pointing down, because I've been known to glaze the wrong, you know, put the black on here and you go, well, that's not even half the plate, you know, so I have to wash it off. So I write instructions for myself when I do something like this. But and then, you know, these were done with just tape and the black, the blue gray glaze and a white that we had in New Mexico. They had a little more, you know, a little more speckling to it, and they tended to kind of have a softer edge when they came together. So I haven't been able to get that to happen for me here, but you know, this is, you know, again, just using tape. This is a little more complicated piece, and it took like 4 days to do this, and I don't know if you have the patience to watch this, but it's complicated, but it's all with tape and wax. And so, you know, I start out with a piece of bisqueware, and I just draw the design on there that I want. And then I start putting tape on. This tape is, I'll show it to you later. It's just tape that you can buy at Big's Art Supply, you know, you use it for making graphs, stuff like that. That's, you know, I wanted, and actually on the real piece I used narrower tape, but I wanted it to show up. So that, you do that first because the more delicate pieces you want to glaze last. You don't want that to have to survive several layers of glazing and waxing and so on. So then I want to put red up there, so I put an R on it, so I didn't forget. And then I want to put Whitaker yellow down here, so I put a Y on that. And now that, you know, you do that on both sides of the piece, identical. And then I glazed it, not with this black, but with, you know, either Temacou or the St. John's black. You know, that creates the frame, but you have to let it dry, and you have to wax it. So I always do this at home. I mean, I glaze it, I take it home, I put it on the wall of my patio, dries, and I wax it, and I let it dry. I rarely put glaze over wax that hasn't been on there since the day before, or early in the morning, and I'll come in here and glaze later in the day. I really let the wax dry and get hard. So anyway, put the black on, and I take the first tape off, and I put the Whitaker yellow on. It doesn't look yellow, but for the purposes of the demonstration, I put yellow in it. Okay, so put that on, let it dry, wax it. Do that at home. Come back the next day, take off the tape, put on the red. Same deal. Let it dry, wax it. Then I'll peel off those pieces of tape, and I'll use, this is a strange little thing, but it is a slip trailer, more or less. And I'll put the Whitaker yellow in there, and again, on this step, you wouldn't have to wax that or anything, because the last step is just this little piece down here. And then I put the pink rutile, gonna take the tape off and put the pink rutile, voila. Put it in the kiln and hope the red comes out. So, I think now I'm gonna demo some stuff, so you guys know what I'm doing. I mixed this up a long time ago, so I've got to mix it up again.
Do you use a hydrometer on the glazes? Pieces of glass. That's, he'll explain.
So, I mean, I've already waxed the bottom and put the tape around it. One thing that I, you know, I would, you know, I could possibly use tape on the handle, but it's really annoying to have to do that. So I just, with this little guy, put wax on there. It's a lot easier. Because I know I'm not going to ever want glaze down there. So I put wax down.
I find it difficult to wrap.
At any rate, here's the pink rutile. And, you know, there's no way to do this really fast. I mean, just can't do it fast, but, you know, I just swish it around in there until it gets the edges. And I don't shake it. I just let it hang there.
Why don't you shake it?
Because it causes drips. Causes drips on the inside.
Oh.
I mean, there's going to be some unevenness in there anyway, but it, you know, it's not critical. I take my little half sponge, clean that off. Then take this guy, and actually what I do when I'm doing the bottoms, this is a fine point, put a little glaze in a thing like this. just a little bit. Stir it around. And then, this is the easiest way to get glaze in there. And just, you know, because I have waxed all around that, the glaze does not want to go into the surrounding area, so it just sits there where I want it. I don't know if you can see that now. You know. And, you know, if it does, it comes off really easy with a sponge. So, now, this one's I've already done that to this one, and I've waxed the inside and waxed the bottom. Since I'm glazing the outside and the inside with the same glaze, I didn't really have to do that, but I'm crazy, so. You know, you never know, something might happen, you know, get extra, I don't want any extra glaze, and, you know, just want it to be
So how far down did you wax the whole thing inside?
wax the whole inside.
Okay.
Yeah. I should have stock and reed wax. So,
You do the waxing with a brush, or do you just pour it in?
use the amazing.
Sponge brush.
Yeah. I mean, there's certain things I'll use a brush to wax, not much. So, 2 seconds. 1, 2. So, I'm just gonna let that dry for a second, and then I'll take the tape off, just so you can see what happens.
How long do you usually leave the tape?
You know, if this, on this type, on the pink teal, it just has to get dry for me to take it off. But, you know, these other things I'm gonna show you, you're gonna wax it, and you have to let the wax dry before you
I have a question. I, when I remove tape, some of the glaze chips off.
Don't do that. Inside with the 1, 2, 3 white. I just kind of did a rough sketch for myself, and then I put the tape on. You know, the tape helps me figure out how to do it. But when I get this in the glaze, I know I'm going to get some of it's going to go in this mug. I'm not worried about it because it's waxed. I can just pour it out.
John, how many coats of wax do you put on?
Just one. Just one. So, little glaze got in there. And, you know, glaze got on the bottom. Just wipe it off because it's been waxed. And then, you know, I'll take off some of the glaze, well, you know, some of that, and, you know, if I was actually doing this right now, I would spend a lot of time, you know, some glazes, there's some drips down in here. But now, you know, there's some drips and stuff here that I might smooth out a little bit, but it's not too bad. So this one's already done, so now I've done the waxing, you know, I would have to wax that, let that dry and wax it. Once that's done, then I can glaze it with the Celadon, but I gotta take the tape off first. And you know, there was tape all down here protecting this area. I didn't think you'd want to spend your time watching me do that, so I took it off already. So this is. Pretty clean. So now it goes in the dip it in, you know, I've got a place to hold it. This is glazed and waxed, so I can hold it there without any, you know, finger marks or whatnot. I do know that, having done this before, that you're gonna have to stick it in all the way to here. Glaze, you know, will be on here, but it'll run off, but it's gonna cause drips on here. I'm just gonna have to, you know, deal with it. Nothing you can do about it. Like I said, that's why I don't like waiting. No matter what you do, it's gonna get you somewhere. See some drips. It's not, they're not too bad. But just, you know.
So John, would be the best time to wipe the glaze off would be immediate?
Basically, what I've been showing you are things with one glaze on. But, you know, I get tired of that every once in a while. So, you know, I do a lot of pieces that are a different color on the inside. So this is the blue gray that I've been talking about, and red on mugs, red on the inside. This is the glaze I had in New Mexico. Yeah, going to, yeah. This glaze, I quit using it because it had, I don't think it was, I think it was radioactive.
Trouble in New Mexico.
Yeah.
I don't have any pieces anymore. So.
That's pretty.
You know, these are just my bowls, you know, blue on the inside. This is pink rutile on B-mix with the Winter yellow on the inside. I've never seen it that color again. And these are the mugs that I, you know, the Winter yellow mugs I make with the pink rutile on the inside. This is what I'm talking about, the Winter yellow. These were on the out, you know, shelf on the outside. And, you know, the other side's yellow. But, you know.
But they're gorgeous.
Yeah, they are.
You know, my problem is I sell my work on Etsy, and you know, you put a picture up there of something, and you want to have the rest of the things you have match it. So it's hard when things change that fast.
Bonanza.
Solomon, yeah. So this is, you know, casserole with, the, you know, my handle and you know, beautiful red on the inside. And that, I made that here, and I think, I'm trying to think of what red that was. You know, that was the red we used to have.
Chinese.
Chinese red.
It was the old red. But I mean, it's almost plum color.
Yeah.
I love that red.
That's gorgeous, yeah.
The outside is Temecula.
Temecula.
I use the Temecula a lot when I want black because you get the break, you know, the brown break on these. These were just some nesting bowls, you know, and then, you know, and I made a bunch of these double wall bowls with different color combinations. You know, one of the things that I do when I make these things is it's very hard. It's easy to do the inside. You just pour glaze in there, pour it out, and then you wax it. But it's very hard to glaze the outside with the size of buckets we have sometimes, or just to hold that thing some way, put it in there and not have marks of some kind. So I do them in halves. I use tape, glaze one half, let it dry, wax it, and do the other half. Sometimes you can't tell. You know, these are, you know, flawless in that respect. This one, there's some marks there from where the tape was, but I kind of like it. You know, I mean, it's more interesting. You know.
On the previous one, what was the outside color?
That's woo.
That's woo.
It's woo, and I believe that's
Looks like Winnetka. In the middle.
it's Whitaker, yeah, and it's on Stony White.
Yeah.
And then this one.
That's pretty.
This is
That's
one that
your
was-
famous one.
So it was supposed to be all red on the inside,
It's
but luckily it didn't turn out that way.
It's very lovely.
So
Beautiful.
You know, Temecula on that rim.
dramatic.
And, you know, these are just some plates I made, little for serving cheese or whatnot. But, you know, it's something like this, you don't even need to use tape. You just, you know, draw a straight line, dip it in there, and then wax it with your, you know, thing. You know, they're very easy to make. So, there's a raccoon.
Oh, that's right. I thought it was crackle.
Different color on the inside.
Beautiful.
This is a piece I made. There's some overlapping. And actually broke down, you know, did some overlapping.
You lost your head.
This is from Santa Fe. But with this, I glazed the whole piece with that black matte blue gray. Waxed this pattern on it, the spiral pattern, and then dip it in the red. And you get this, again, you get that, you know, that blue, a little slight blue line in there. And this one was, you know, it's just Temecula, and then I waxed everything except kind of the top edge of the inside bowl. I mean, I left about a half an inch unwaxed on the inside of the bowl and put tea dust in there. And, you know, knowing it would run down into the this is the lipstick purple over St. John's black. But, you know, I try to control it as much as I can. You know, I waxed a line around where I wanted, you know, so I controlled the amount of lipstick purple that I put on there. You know, if you're when you're dipping something in there, it's really hard to make it totally straight, you know. So I use wax to, but still, even with that, it does what it wants to do, And this is typical with the, tea dust, I think it's tea dust black, actually. So I think that's everything of mine. I was going to attempt to show you some contemporary people that I admire, that I follow on Instagram. And the only way I could get those images was to do screen grabs on Instagram. And this device would not show. So I went so far as to show the screen grabs on my computer screen and take a picture of them so that they'd be JPEGs. And it still didn't work. So anyway, I think there's. Yeah.
You gave us the names, right?
This is the one. This is the guy that I admire the most. He's Kaz Hager. He's German, and I mean his work is so perfect. And of course, he has control of the glazes. He's got all his own glazes. They're matte glazes on the outside, but they're glossy on the inside. I'm pretty sure. But for some reason, Klaus's picture came out. Nobody else.
Leave it to class.
What was his name again?
I have just happened to have.
On top. Right here.
Oh, it's on top, okay.